Podcaster Gavin Newsom needs another $2.8 billion loan from Medi-Cal to cover illegal aliens. It's going to be a total of over $6 billion for this program. Let's get into it. Here we go. Here's the original $3.4 billion loan Gavin just put together.
The state capital, over a $3 billion loan the governor is requesting for Medi-Cal. Thanks for joining us here at 6. Lots to get to. I'm Tony Lopez.
And I'm Marley Ginter. That loan request comes after California became the first state to expand health care to also cover undocumented immigrants of any age.
In tonight's Politics at Large, Steve is live at the Capitol with the concerns over a spike in costs. Steve.
Yeah, and it's $3.4 billion to be specific. Tonight, the governor's office is saying they need this extra money for a variety of reasons, including just the general increase in healthcare costs. But it's the coverage of undocumented immigrants that's getting political pushback.
And it's about being prepared for uncertainties into the future.
Money trouble for Governor Gavin Newsom, seeking a $3.4 billion loan from the state general fund to cover rising costs of California's Medi-Cal plan through the end of the month.
More mismanagement out of this governor.
Republican Assembly Leader James Gallagher quick to pounce on the problem for the state's health insurance program for low-income people. The loan request comes a year after the governor expanded eligibility to all income-eligible immigrants, regardless of their immigration status.
What has been the biggest driver of costs to the Medi-Cal system? It's been adding illegal immigrants to those roles.
The estimated cost for Medi-Cal ballooned from a projected $6.4 billion in July to $9.5 billion now. Assembly Speaker Robert Rivas issued a statement reading in part, "There are tough choices ahead, and Assembly Democrats will closely examine any proposal from the governor. But let's be clear, we will not roll over and leave our immigrants behind."
It just seems unfortunate that any time that we're short on funding as a government, we always want to scapegoat the immigrant community when they are some of the most hardest working people in our country and doing the jobs that nobody else wants to do.
Jose Rodriguez is the president of El Concilio, California, an immigrant rights organization that receives California funding to help sign up people for Medi-Cal. I asked him about political pressure to cut the program now.
Perhaps an effort to roll back some of the access?
I'm sure there will be an effort to roll back some of the access simply because I know that the federal government is threatening to cut funding for Medicaid.
Governor Newsom rolled out the state's full scope Medi-Cal expansion to undocumented immigrants in 2019 and over several years expanded the program to all ages in 2024. Now there's new scrutiny over California's healthcare costs. Could there be cuts?
Yeah.
So far, the governor's finance department has not released a detailed breakdown of what exactly has led to these increased costs. They also haven't said if they'll need more money in addition to this loan.
All right, Steve, we'll take the...
We are already there. Because now we're asking for $2.8 billion. We already got the other 3.4. And we're just borrowing billions and billions of dollars here just because we need it. If you haven't been following Gavin Newsom, he's going to run for president in 2028, right? I mean, it's a known quantity. So he rolled out, this is Gavin Newsom, as if we didn't know. This is Gavin Newsom podcast. And he had Charlie Kirk on as his first guest. And he and Charlie Kirk were having a discussion. And they basically determined that, yeah, it's wildly unfair to have trans women competing with women in regular sports. You got boys competing against girls, and that's a hard no-go. Hard no-go. I mean, it's just absurd. It's mind-blowing. Even Gavin Newsom was able to say, yeah, that's unfair. Because you got boys. I mean, if you've seen some of these track meets, it's like, you'll have the 400 meter and they'll be ahead by, an entire 50, 60 meters. It's just insane because that's how much stronger and faster boys are at the same age. And it's just like, how is this fair? It's not. And even Gavin Newsom agreed. So Gavin Newsom is going down some of these roads where he's taking real heat from his side because they're like, oh, you're not, on the company program here of trans rights. The whole thing is it's ridiculous, right? California Governor Gavin Newsom is asking for another $2.8 billion. What, since we're asking, you just round it up to a quick $10 billion. Just see what you get. $2.8 billion loan to keep Medi-Cal, state's medical plan, afloat. After asking for $3.44 billion last week, what is in store for us next week? Another $5 billion? Don't know. That's to keep the program that has expanded to include illegal aliens for free. For free. They get medical coverage for free. I bet you there's a lot of Californians that would love to have free healthcare, just, carte blanche free healthcare, but they don't qualify for it. They make too much money, right? I bet you there's a lot of folks that would love to have that, but the illegal aliens are getting it for free. This whole thing to me, this is where the sanctuary cities and the sanctuary states are just, you know what I mean? Spending all these resources on illegals where they haven't taken care of their own folks. California has the highest homelessness rate in the United States. 187,000 homeless folks. Let's call it rounded up to 200,000, let's just say. Now double that, 400,000. That's probably more of an accurate portrayal of the count because the PIT count, the point in time count, which is done in January, I think, every year, send out a handful of people. Hey, are you homeless? You know what I mean? That's exactly what they do. Yeah. All right. 4. They have 0 training. 5. And that's how we get these homeless numbers. It's mind-boggling that that's what we depend on for, all the federal government money for homelessness. As Breitbart News reported in 2022, beginning January 1st, 2024, illegal aliens residing in California become eligible for taxpayer-funded health insurance. The first state in the nation to enact such a policy. We covered that. I mean, it's just insane. It's insane. Why are we doing this? Why is Gavin Newsom going down this road? Well, because of that whole far left deal and open borders, bring everybody in. It's going to be a party. This is going to be the greatest thing ever. Oh, geez. We've come into more information now on these programs, and it's going to cost us some more money. We need some more money. Newsom had boasted with these new investments, California will become the first state to achieve universal access to health care coverage. That's okay. Yeah. And you did it. And now you're looking at more money. This is how California has some of the highest taxes and has some of you name it, highest and worst categories. California's got it. And taxpayer dollars go to support this kind of nonsense. How about the billions and billions and billions of dollars that go towards the homeless programs in California? And those numbers, homeless are just getting worse. But as Breitbart News noted last week, the cost of adding illegal aliens to the program has caused it to run out of cash. Because they're expensive. They're people. Forcing California to borrow $3.4 billion to cover a shortfall in the program. Now, Politico reports, Newsom is being forced to ask for even more money to save Medi-Cal, bringing the total requested to over $6 billion. The article says $6 million. It's billion. Incredible numbers. Now, relative to California's budget, this is an absolute drop in the bucket. But this is how you have financial mismanagement, to the point where some are saying, the federal dollars that are going to flow into California for the wildfires, maybe there needs to be some oversight. Maybe we need to have an oversight committee. Maybe we need to have Elon Musk, Doge, go in there. Hey, what's going on? What are we doing? Other blue states, too, are finding out that adding illegal immigrants to Medicaid programs is destroying them. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is trying to cut illegal aliens aged 42 to 64 out of the plan as the state faces a huge budget deficit. Now, guys, I know we virtue signaled that we were going to cover you, but come to find out, you illegal immigrants that are older, you guys are costing us a lot of money. And we just, who knew, but we don't have the resources to cover it. So, California State Assemblyman Carl DeMauro told Breitbart News Sunday that Medi-Cal is insolvent, unable to pay providers. I need to get some more money up in here. So when Newsom isn't busy doing his podcast, he's, out begging for money. Hey, let's borrow money from here. Let's borrow money from there. Because we've, we spent too much. Let's look at this one. Newsom to ask California legislature for another $2.8 billion to cover. The request comes days after he told lawmakers that he took out a separate $3.4 billion loan. I mean, just the amount of money that these guys chew through. Now, some would say, well, but you just don't know what the expenses are going to be, and you don't know what the revenue is going to be. But the very basis of this whole deal is you've virtue signaled whole bunch of illegals to come into your state. California, there was no pushback. They're total sanctuary state. And as a result, build it and they will come. Now they're there. Now you're stuck with them. So what are you going to do? Well, you got to hold good on what you said, which is, all right, we're going to have medical coverage for all of you. It's going to be great. Greatest thing ever, right? Oh, man. Too much money. Too much money. This is costing us too much. What do we do? Let's just borrow. What resident wants to have a whole bunch of money going to somebody that you don't even know is going to be in the country long term? Because so many of these people are eligible to be deported. They're illegal. They could be deported. You know what I mean? The whole thing is just like, what? You're doing what? Why? Well, here's why. Rising costs have drawn criticism from Republicans and added pressure on Democrats to consider scaling back the program as the state anticipates cuts to federal funding and other economic headwinds that could force difficult conversations during budget negotiations this year. Now, keep in mind, all of these governmental entities have budget shortfalls. We've come out of just the money flowing through from COVID. That isn't there anymore. And now you've got these cored out downtowns that don't have the tax dollars flowing in that they once had and don't have the businesses there to create those tax dollars. So everybody is absolutely scrambling. How do I make my budget work? Instead, Gavin Newsom is out borrowing more money. Oh, committed to these illegals. Now we gotta figure out a way to pay for them. Well, let's borrow some more money. What could go wrong, right? What could go wrong? This is how you have a budget bloat that just goes to the moon. To the moon. With tough fiscal choices ahead, Governor Newsom, jointly with Pro Tem Mike McGuire, Democrat from Healdsburg, and Speaker Robert Rivas, Democrat from Hollister, will evaluate proposals to rein in long-term spending, including in Medi-Cal, while working to protect the core health and social services Californians rely on. All right. Last part of this article indicates the Newsom administration is also anticipating economic blowback from Trump's tariffs that could impact state revenues and watching for stock market volatility that could affect tax collections that fund state programs. Because all of these programs are already down in numbers. I shouldn't say all, but the vast majority of the trends are that there's budget deficits. You got budget deficits. Chicago being a major one with how much money they spent. And let's go Brandon Johnson. Oh, I need some federal dollars up here. Eric Adams, New York City, was, famous for basically saying, hey, you want to keep sending all these illegals in, you got to help us out with some money because we can't afford it. And now you've got a situation in New York City where they're sending police in, basically throughout the evening shift into the early mornings because the subways have become so dangerous. You've got so many gang members and nut jobs and criminals running around that the subway system is no longer safe to ride, overnight. It's just not. Also what was I watching? I was watching Cash Jordan this morning, and he was talking about McDonald's. A bunch of the McDonald's have just been overrun with wild hooligans. And so they're bringing in their own security teams, and they're also not allowing anybody under the age of 20 to come in unless they've got a parent with them. I don't, the parental oversight nowadays, I don't think having a parent with you sometimes is going to help at all. Because those parents, they're just as guilty as the children for what they've taught their children as far as this is right, this is wrong. But I digress. Back to Newsom. Newsom's podcast, he's just taking a beating. He's taking a beating for that, as he should, because he's kind of going off of, defending that far left, the hardcore far left, and going down all those roadways. And now he's trying to, because he wants to become president, he's trying to become, let's go down a little bit more of a moderate road. And he's basically talking to what the mainstream media considers far-right media figures. Charlie Kirk is not far-right. I mean, he's just not. He's a Christian guy, goes on campus, tries to talk to college students about being reasonable. That's the easiest way to describe what he does. But he is not a far-right, nut job. He's not way out there. But anybody now that talks anything slightly right of center or slightly right of far left, I should probably say, just gets pigeonholed and, right-winger. That's what we're doing. So Gavin Newsom, will he ask for more money? Absolutely. We're not over with this one. Because these programs, they're just an endless suck of resources, right? And so he's going to have to just keep coming back and saying, all right, we need to figure out what we're doing here. I'm sure he'll talk about it in another podcast, and we'll cover it right here on News for Reasonable People. All right. Thanks for sticking with me. I'll catch up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.